This video is a longer explanation of your assignment that's going to be due in week 2 of our English 1010 course. So if you notice, your task is to thoroughly summarize and analyze a printed argument. That means you need to explain what the author has written and whether or not you think it's logical, whether it's effective, whether it makes sense, whether the author misses something big. You want to be thinking about those things. It's worth 10% of your overall grade, and your task is to read one of the 3 articles and then follow a pattern for an analysis essay. You need to introduce the author and the article in the first paragraph. You need to write clear paragraphs with topic sentences focused on the article that make a point about whether or not the author was effective. This is for an academic audience, so we don't want to use I, me, my, and our. We want to avoid the you and your pronouns. So we really want to write with that focus on the reader. The length needs to be at least 700 words. 900 words might even be a little bit better, and it needs to be in MLA format. So if you have noticed with the articles, I have provided you with the full reference citation in MLA. So you can just copy that over. For the in-text citations, you're going to use the author's last name. So whenever you talk about something the author said, you either want to use the author's name and say, according to Jones or whichever author you're using, Burwell for the generation stress, or after you talk about what the author has said, you want to put a parenthetical citation at the end, the author's name in parentheses. Either way is fine, but you want to make sure you're citing. So before we look at an example, let's look at the rubric. You always want to pay attention to that. Notice the introduction clearly identifies the author and the article, provides any biographical information about this person, who they are, or anything like that, and ends with a thesis that presents a position analyzing the source. The author does a very good job. The author does a poor job. The author uses a lot of examples. However, the author is trying to convince the reader, and whether it works, you want to focus on that. Notice you have body paragraphs that need to make distinct points about the article. So as you're reading, you want to be thinking of 2 or 3, maybe 4 distinct points of things that you want to say about the article. Definitely use the source as evidence. We don't want to misread the article, so particularly make sure that you read all the way to the end. Pay attention to what's at the end of the plastic bag article, because sometimes people don't read all the way to the end and they kind of have a problem. We want to use that academic tone and style, and we want to just make sure that we don't have too many grammatical errors. So this is how it's going to be graded. To look at an example, and this sample, there are 2 samples posted in the classroom. Notice in the very first sentence, we have the title of the article, we have the author's name, and we have a little bit about who she is. Okay, she's a scientist that's been studying chimpanzees for years. So you want to, in the very beginning, introduce, this is the article I'm talking about. And then notice the thesis statement at the end. Although Goodall challenges scientists to avoid conducting unnecessary tests on animals, she does not explain the criteria by which scientists should determine necessity. So we have a judgment about the article here. If you pay attention, you'll notice that all of the topic sentences focus on what the author is saying or doing. And we are not going to use quotations in our assignment. She uses just a few short ones, but you want to make sure that you're just paraphrasing all the way through. And notice here, according to Goodall's logic, you want to keep reminding the reader that this is about what the author said. Do not write an essay about the topic. You want to focus on what the author says. Notice there's several key points that our example writer writes about. Then there is a conclusion here at the end and the works cited page. And I mentioned that the works cited are provided in the course content, so you just need to copy that over for this assignment. There are 2 different examples of what this assignment should look like. I like examples because they help me know what to do. And there's also the instructions for the assignment in the classroom. You just want to make sure that you are summarizing and analyzing, not writing about the topic. Pay attention to the instructions, and if you have any questions, let me know. Take care.